Once upon a time, in an enchanted kingdom, there lived a king and a queen and their son, a dashing prince. He was always dashing here and dashing everywhere. Blinded by love, the amorous prince would go to any lengths to find true happiness.
I love you, darling. Will you marry me?
Oh, yes, please.
Well, almost any length. But the jealous, wicked witch did all in her power to destroy the prince's dream of true love. Once upon a time, down a twisty lane, through the woods, you would eventually come to a strange, misshapen cottage. In this cottage lived the witch. Apart from the dog and the cat, the witch lived all alone. This was hardly surprising, considering her appalling manners and personal hygiene problems. She had tried everything to gain a husband, but to no avail. Her only hope of having a child was the local supermarket.
You shall come with me, my child, to be my companion.
After time went on, the witch, in a fit of benevolence, thought the little girl should have a playmate. She was turning into a sulky teenager. This time, I'll steal a prince just to raise the tone of the neighborhood. And so she crept into her local palace, and while no one was looking, stole a prince, some polo ponies, and a full set of croquet mallets. Oh dear, oh dear. Our poor boy has gone away, and we may never see him again. At least I won't have to pay his maintenance. The prince, who had never done a day's work in his life, was totally useless around the house. But worse, the girl was becoming rather too fond of him. The witch was afraid they might get married, and she would have to pay the bill. Oh no! She decided on a plan to get rid of this toffee-nosed lad as soon as possible, or even sooner. She called it Plan A. Boy, my pots and pans have not been cleaned for 7 years. Unless they are spotless by 7 this evening, you will be roasting in one of them. Yeah!
But how does one clean one's pots? Moaned the prince to the girl.
Don't worry, I've got something here called PanoClean. It works wonders.
We have something for that at the palace. They call stuff.
In any event, by 7 that evening, the 7 years of fat and slime were cleaned off, much to the witch's dismay. She now turned to Plan B. Boy, there's a tree nearby 7 miles high. You will climb to the top
and bring me 7 eggs for breakfast. Or I'll make you into a Spanish omelette.
How does one make one Spanish omelette?
Plenty of vegetable and plenty of chopped prince.
Don't worry, said the faithful girl. I'll pop down to the supermarket for some eggs. The witch will never know the difference. So instead of a 7-mile climb, the prince sat down to watch television while his faithful girlfriend did a late-night shop. The next morning, the prince dutifully presented the witch with the eggs.
Wicked boy! There are only 6 eggs. I wanted 7.
But the prince,
Whose numeracy was not a strong point.
could almost smell the omelette cooking with him in it. So he dashed out of the cottage, stole one of the witch's polo ponies, and rode for all he was worth, leaving the girl to her fate. Oh, there's kindness for you. The witch now employed Plan C.
I shall put a spell on the boy. The moment he sees the king and queen, he'll fall into a 700-year sleep. Cauliflower, pastry, treacle and jam, the wickedest witch in the world who I am.
Meanwhile, the pony knew his way home as he trotted up the drive, and the king and queen came out to meet him.
Oh, my son has returned.
But oh, what's this? As predicted, the instant the son saw his father, he fell down into a deep sleep and an overdraft, and had to be carried to a bed in the palace. The king wanted the prince to awake, and thought the best chance lay with a kiss from a pretty maiden. As word spread, there were pretty girls queuing round the block, all trying in vain to awaken the prince. Word of this reached the witch's cottage.
It's one thing to be pretty, but if you don't know the spell to wake him, it won't work.
You can tell me the spell, as I'm not pretty enough anyway.
Indeed you are not. Otherwise, 7 drops of water from the great palace pond would do the trick.
The young girl was determined to try, if only for the prince's sake. She crept out of the house and stole another of the witch's polo ponies, which had led her to the great palace pond. There she knelt down to collect some water and saw a reflection in the pond. I'm not ugly. I'm not ugly at all, she said. Gaining in confidence, she made straight for the palace. Let me awake your son, your majesty. Oh, if you insist. He watched as the girl dropped 7 drops of water on the prince's eyes. Miraculously, the prince awoke, saw the girl, and wished he was asleep again. The king and queen were so delighted that they even invited the girl to stay for tea. Their generosity did not extend further on this occasion.
There's more wolves and more witches and more giants here next.